Hey everyone, welcome back to Callie and Beans Books. I'm Brittany, and today it is time for my April book corner. I read physical books and read Kindle Unlimited, so I'll go over everything that I read for the month of April. I don't really have a TBR at this time, so I really don't have a plan, so I probably won't touch on the books that I plan on reading, just because I don't really know what I'm really in the mood for at this time, but I'm going to focus on the books that I did read from the month of April. The first book that I read in the month of April was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. We follow Rowan, who is the youngest grandson of what we can pretty much compared to Walt Disney, and after his grandfather dies, he leaves a will and 3 tasks that each of the brothers have to complete before they get their inheritance or the shares to the company. For Rowan, he used to be a very creative child, and after his mom passed away, his father became very verbally abusive towards him and put him down a lot for his creativity, because he wasn't the athlete that his older brothers were. So his dad put him down a lot for it, and he decided to shy away from being creative. So that was his grandfather's task, was that he needed to come up with something to take the theme park to the next level and kind of reinvent part of the theme park. And after 6 months, he had to take that to the board and they had to vote for it. And if he didn't get the approval, then he wouldn't get his shares. So he basically had to dive back into his creativity so then he could take the company to the next level. With this task, he meets Zara. Her parents both work for the company, and then she works in basically a hair salon that give kids makeovers, and her little sister is autistic and also works for the company. She's very family oriented when it comes to working for the company, and they actually run into each other at a big staff meeting, and she has no idea who he has no idea who she is. And then after this run-in, she drunkenly submits a proposal to update one of the biggest rides in the theme park. I think Space Mountain is basically what I thought of when I was reading this part. So then she becomes a creator, which pretty much is like one of the people that helps update rides, attractions, costumes, parades, things like that. And through this, they're definitely the grumpy sunshine characters. And at first, she's like, well, I hate this guy. And he's like, I can't stand her. So I guess you have that little bit of enemies to lovers, but then they become friendly through a different persona that he takes on. So he starts drawing again to help her ideas because she can't draw for anything. And they start having a relationship, but she has no idea it's him. So there's kind of that aspect, which usually I'm not a huge fan of that trope, but with these characters, it actually worked. So we follow their character development and their relationship development, and it is really cute. At first, I didn't think I was gonna like it because I usually don't like the fake persona, like the guy's pretending to be a different guy. I usually don't like that trope at all, but it worked. And I was really excited about it, and I just really loved following these characters through their different journeys. And the chemistry was very organic, where sometimes with the grumpy sunshine trope, it's kind of forced, or whereas like close proximity where they have to work together, sometimes that dynamic can get forced, but their chemistry worked really nicely, and I felt like it was very organic all the way through the end. So the first one, we follow the youngest brother. The second one, which is Terms and Conditions, also by Lauren Asher. This follows the oldest brother, Declan, and his administrative assistant, Iris. And this one I also give a 4.5 out of 5. This one is fake marriage. So Declan's task from his grandfather is that he needs to marry and have a child, or have an heir basically to the company. I can't remember if there's a timeline on this, but basically he has a woman that he plans on paying to step in as his wife to parade around and have his child, and there's a custody agreement and all of that. Well, she backs out the last second because he makes her cry, and it kind of falls apart right before the announcement of his engagement. So Iris decides, you know what, I know everything about this man's life. I will step in, I'll do this, I will be pretty much the fake wife, and we'll figure it out from there. Typically with the fake marriage or fake dating, one of the characters already knows that they're in love with the other one. This one, they're not, which I absolutely adored. So we follow them where they get along, like they're, a boss and employee relationship, and they're friendly, but they don't have that secret love. Like there's no, I'm secretly in love with him, so this is going to work and this is going to be amazing. It's more of a business transaction for this fake marriage, not necessarily an actual spur of the moment, we'll figure it out. They actually have a plan, which was really interesting. And then they slowly build a relationship, and they agree for certain intimacy parts so they actually can make it seem real. And that's kind of where feelings start to develop. It's not necessarily a cut and dry, like, oh my gosh, awakening, I'm in love with this person. It's more of a slow burn for the feelings part, but they jump right into the relationship. I really enjoyed the way that their relationship developed. It didn't seem like that forced formula when you have this fake dating / fake marriage trope. It's a lot more organic. Sometimes you read the fake dating, fake marriage trope, and it's very like, this happens, then this happens, and then this happens. It was very different. Like, you know someone's gonna fall first, but you don't know which character, because there's moments where Declan's like, yeah, you know, I can see myself with this woman, but I don't want to hold her down. And then you also have Iris, who's like, yeah, I can't see myself being with him. And you're just like, whoa, what's gonna happen? And I actually really did enjoy the dynamic. I was kind of poking around on Goodreads and Kindle and Amazon, and there really isn't an announcement for the third one, because there is a third brother, Cal. There's hints at what his task from his grandfather is, but there's really no setup. Like, when we're following Rowan, we know that the setup for the second one is going to be Declan, and we kind of knew that Iris is going to step in and be the fake wife, but we didn't know where it was going to go. So we kind of have hints of what Cal needs to do, but there's really no setup. There's no introduction to like, yes, this is what the next book's going to be. So there's no announcement for the third one. I can't find it anywhere. I mean, I found some hints of it on Goodreads, but there's no release day, there's no title, there's no cover. So like, I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. Like, I can't wait for the next one, because there's really no announcement for the next one, but there's hints that she probably will give us the next one. I don't know. Either way, I absolutely loved Rowan and Declan, and I'm so happy that I read these books. I'll probably end up rereading these at some point, and they're definitely high up there on my favorite reads of 2022 so far. The next book I read was Nangodz by Katie Robert. I would give this a 4 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was very sexy, and this is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It's not mafia like Promises and Pomegranates, and it's not magical like A Touch of Darkness. It's more like political power. And so we have the 13, which are some of the top gods, including Hades, Zeus, and Poseidon. Now, Hades is more of a myth. There's no actual person that is Hades. They think that he's gone and the lower city just falls under the territory of Zeus. Well, Persephone is thrown into an engagement with Zeus, and she had no idea this was coming. She does not like Zeus, and he is a bad guy. So she decides to kind of take a breath from the party of the engagement announcement and takes a walk outside, and then all of a sudden it becomes a pursuit. There's 2 men that are following her, and she wants nothing to do with it. So she starts running basically from these guys, gets to River Styx, and that's the river that divides the upper and the lower city. And Zeus can't cross the bridge and Hades can't cross the bridge. They can't cross into each other's territories. So she's like, well, the only way I can get away from these guys is by crossing the bridge. So that's what she does. And she does meet Hades, and she has no idea that this guy is real. And he's almost the knight in shining armor, but he's dark about it. And they pretty much strike a deal that he protects her for 3 months and they can get revenge on Zeus. The only way that she feels that Zeus will not want to touch her is if it's public that her and Hades have been intimate. And it is very detailed on what exactly they do in the public's eye. I love this story. I think it was very well done with their dynamic, and it's very dramatic in a way that I was not anticipating, and I loved it. The Kindle Unlimited book I finished this month was Forbidden Lyrics by Kelsey Ray. This is the second in the Wrecked Roommates series. I did touch on this with my Kindle Unlimited video. I am still not sure how I feel about this group of characters. Finished Forbidden Lyrics. I give it a solid like 3.5. We're following Dove, and she moved to the town to be with her older sister Maddie, who is pregnant and was disowned by their strict parents, and now is working at the Seabird, which is the local bar where bands play. And so Gibson is one of the bartenders, and he instantly puts up a wall against Dove and is very standoffish with her. Makes her feel like he hates her, even though he has an interest, but he doesn't date his coworker. So he wants nothing to do with Dove. They start having this flirtation, but every single time Gibson goes to like make a move, he stops himself. So Dove is like, well, he obviously has no interest in me, blah, blah, blah. So that dynamic is one that always turns me off. Like, I really did not like their beginning parts of their relationship. There were a lot of cute moments, and there is that chemistry between them. It didn't feel forced, but there is this overarching secret that Gibson has, including Dove's sister, that he doesn't want to touch on. And ultimately, of course, that's part of the conflict on that secret coming out. The story itself seemed very choppy. Like there were moments where it flowed really nicely and then it went off to left field and then kind of wove back in. Overall, I enjoyed the story, but it was definitely not one of my favorites. I really don't have any interest in continuing with the next story, just the way that this one ended. It didn't really make me interested in reading the next part of the Wrecked Roommates, which follows Milo and Maddie. I am currently reading the Heart Hassle series by Raven Kennedy on Kindle Unlimited. I originally wanted to jump into a reread of the Plated Prisoner series because the original release date for Glow was going to be May 20th. Now it's pushed back to June 18th, so I have some time. So I'm going to jump into something different and unique and new instead of another reread. I'm currently listening to From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout on Audible, and now I understand a little bit more of the beginning of the story and why it's so hard to get into, but listening to the audiobook makes me realize why the history doesn't make sense, and I'm happy that I'm listening to it for my reread because it is so boring in the beginning. I will admit, like, it is very hard to get into the beginning of this book, so I'm happy that I'm listening to it through Audible because it makes it more interesting. I don't really have a physical book that I'm reading. I do plan on buddy reading Grease by Sierra Simone with Callison and Sarah. I just have to go pick it up. Otherwise, I don't really have a TBR. I'm such a mood reader that I'm not entirely sure where I'm gonna go from here. There's just so many books out there that I'm interested in. I don't want to set myself up of I want to do this, this, and this. I'm just gonna go with the flow and see what my mood leads me to. So that is my month of April wrapped up for you guys with my book corner. I did really enjoy the books that I read throughout the month of April. Be sure to head over to our channel and subscribe. Click that little bell icon to be notified when we post new videos. We post every Tuesday, Thursday with some Sundays. Head over to Goodreads and Instagram for our joint and individual accounts. The links will be in the description below. And if you do enjoy our content, please be sure to share it with your friends and family. Until next time, bye.